Hello everyone, welcome to Scorcher Toys at AnyMoon.com's transformation guide for Bandai's SV262DX toys. We're going to start in fighter mode, work to Gearwalk, and then Batroid mode for those of you who are missing your instructions or just getting stuck somewhere along the way. To start, we are going to get the gun extended and away from the rest of the body. Pull it up. Oh, I thought I had it on there. So it'll pop off, but just go ahead and reattach it when it does. Now, flipping the toy over, you're going to go ahead, there's a tab going from the wing into what is the leg. You're going to go ahead and pop that up. Once you've done that, there is a hinge on the top side that you can now bring the whole wing section up on that hinge. Flipping the toy back around, there is a hinge on the bottom. We can go ahead and lift that up, and we're going to go do the same thing on the other side with the other wing. Your toy should now look something like this, and what we want to do next is separate the feet. So you're going to just go back to the bottom, and you're just going to pull away from the center, and you'll see there is a clip that extends from one foot into a slot on the other foot. So we're going to go ahead and pull away on those, and then we can go ahead and bring out the legs. And now as you do this, they should kind of come out from the body a little bit at this knee area, and then come outward. We can take our leg locks that we had in place. We're going to bring it down in, and then on this one, you're going to pivot this piece around so it goes into the empty cavity, like so. On the other one, there is no peg, so you just go ahead and push that down, like so. Now you can bring the foot forward, and it's going to be very stiff. And what you might want to do before you do that, since it is so close of a connection, you can pull these flaps out and extend them outward to kind of flare them like bell bottoms. And you can go ahead and pull that forward and bring the heel out, and go ahead and repeat with the other foot. Okay, your toy should look like this now, and we're going to turn our attention to the back of the toy where we have a folded over arm. And what we want to do is get that arm nice and straight. So what we're going to do is bring the arm back, and there's a hinge here and another hinge up at the front. So there's a main hinge and a secondary hinge. And you don't want to rub your gold on gold too much there, right? So what you want to do is make sure that this hinge on the inside is straight, and then that will let you get the forearm piece up as well. And then we just need to fold over this piece here, and it requires a little bit of pressure, but there it goes. So now you've got that arm fully combined. Now for me, this has already happened just from fiddling with that other arm, but on your toy you may need to pop the front of the shield free, and then we're going to go ahead and just pivot that entire arm back and get it out of the way. Alright, now we're going to go ahead and try to free up that other arm, which is tucked in here. You should push the wings back just a little bit to get yourself a little clearance from the wide part of the arm in the front. And then we're going to go ahead and begin pulling the shoulder back. And then now you can see the front part of the arm is butting right up against those wings. So you're going to have to be careful with that. Now what you want to do is get it angled, and then try to slide that cowl that's on top of the arm back, and then pull up and away. So there we go. We've got the arm free now. I've actually got a little bit of paint rub already on the front. I've done a couple transformations now. So be careful at that point. Okay, so things are getting a little weird. We're going to go ahead and try to get those legs kind of more towards a natural gearwalk mode. But we're just going to start them on their way right now. There's flaps underneath. We're going to go ahead and pop these flaps out. And then we're going to go ahead and bring one of these. You have to kind of pivot it and up and down, kind of like so. And we're going to go ahead and do that with the other leg on the other side. Okay, your toy will now look something like this. And what we want to do is extend the legs away from the front. There we go. So now there's a little extension that has appeared right there. With the legs extended, you should have just enough room to pop open these intakes and get them around the hips. Things are getting a little complicated now. You want to flip your toy over. You want to pull the crotch back. There is a piece inside that the crotch was covering that we want to get a fingernail on and get that pushed inward. That'll put it at an angle. Then we want to take our legs, which have very little clearance right now, and we want to get them kind of straightened back out. And then what we're going to do is take the entire crotch mechanism and tilt that forward and bring our legs down. And that's how you get the legs into the Garewalk position. And you can see we've now freed up the entire rest of the toy. Your toy should look something like this, and we're just going to bring everything back down. And you want to make sure that the little trapdoors, like I just failed to do on the intakes, go outside of the hip. And so they should just come down and lay on top like that. So that's all good. Then we can take our wings and bring them all the way down, if they're not all the way down already. And that allows us to bring our arms and pivot them around so that they're in the proper direction. All right, so we're looking at the back of the toy now. I'm going to go ahead and extend the arms away, and I'm going to push down on the arm mechanism. And I'm going to bring down that trap door there. I'm also going to pivot around the shield, and actually the entire arm I will pivot back towards me, like so. All right, we're going to start easy now and get progressively harder. Let's begin by pulling out the shoulders. That's going to give you a little clearance as you then bring up. And you got the little doors on the hinges that I'm going to rub a little bit, but bring everything up. And now what you want to do is you want to flip around the top. And we could flip the arms around while we do this. But you're going to flip the top up and around. And then you have your wings are in kind of a weird spot. This piece in the center slides. So slide it forward. And then you should, there you go. Pops right in, your wings come up. And they will kind of be level with that center piece. And you can then bring everything back down. And again, watch for those little trapdoors on your legs. We want to get those free. So you're bringing everything back down. And you're going to bring your arms out to give them some clearance. Now my wing has gotten stuck again, so let's bring those wings to where they need to go. Now you can see I've got one wing in a different position than the other. You've got some hinges on the side with which to adjust them to be at the same level. And then we want to come back. And now there's this door here that's going to go right behind the cockpit. But there's also two little hooks at the bottom. So we want to bring this up. And we want to get these hooks around those little pegs. And now if it's going to fight you, like mine is apparently off by just a little bit, you need to adjust your hips until you can get it to work. Now it is a super tight fit no matter what, and it is a little scary that Garewalk mode relies on such tiny little pegs to work out appropriately. There we go, that should work. Alright, so I've got those in. My top has gone in at the same time. So there you go, we have the main connection of Garewalk complete. Now I had the gun off in that last clip so you can see what I was doing, but to put the gun back on, it would look like this at this point, which you just bring your wings down, and you could bring these pieces down as well, pull the gun up a little bit, and then you gotta spin it around. The arms, you wanna have, you can go ahead and get them in their right position at this point. The wings, you're gonna bring them back up, so you just bring them up. Now you can see I've got kind of a loose wing already, so that's not good to see. Then we're going to extend the wing out, and you can also see there's a pivot point for the wing. So it pivots around and then folds over, and just repeat on the other side. I mentioned a loose wing, so I want to take a closer look at how that wing should be set up in Gearwalk mode to make sure you got everything right. There is a hinge that this is attached to, and then the wing base has a little notch at the back of it that it should be connected to. So you want to play with these hinges so that that root goes back into that hinge and sort of holds into position. Once I had it in the proper position, it's not nearly as loose. So there we go. Now we can just fold that over and everything's good to go. All right, the last step of transformation is the shield. Just go ahead and remove it. Actually, you could leave it on. I'll remove it because it's easier because I have a camera in front of my face. Go ahead and get a fingernail in there and split it apart. There we go. Bring it together. It's just got a couple little pegs that will come together, and then put it right back where you found it. And you are all set in Gearwalk mode. Transformation to Batroid mode begins by removing the gun off the top, and then pulling it apart, front and back, bringing the fin over like we did to land in fighter mode, and then pulling out the handle right there, and now you have the gun ready to go. Alright, now we're going to bring the wing back out of the way by just rocking it back. Same thing on the other side, and then we're going to bring our arms up and forward. Now the shield obviously giving me a little bit of an issue, but we'll fix that when we get to the very end. Do the same thing on the other side. Your toy should now look like this. Let's go ahead and straighten out the legs. We can bring the foot down too, getting that into a Batroid mode position. Same thing on the other side. Now what we want to do is disengage the pieces that were holding Gearwalk together. So there's that little hinge inside, and we want to pull up and away. And you'll also free up that neck piece at the same time, and now you have the whole torso free. All right, now we're going to turn our attention to the waist and the crotch again. Let's go ahead and move the crotch downward. Now you'll remember we pivoted that entire area forward as part of Gearwalk mode. So now we're going to go ahead and bring it all back straight again. And in doing so, bring those legs forward. We can pull this piece, push this piece flat. It was angled for Gearwalk mode. It will now be flat. Make sure you're fully extended. And there you go. You have the crotch now and the waist for Batroid mode. Now we're going to expose the back hook for Batroid mode. Just slide this piece forward. And now there's a peg right there. I need to get a fingernail in and pull that peg up. And that will be the hook for Batroid. Okay, now we're going to really bring things together here. We're going to pivot the top torso up, and then we are going to, there's a hinge right behind that we are going to pivot everything at. Now this is particularly tricky because you don't really want to push on anything. You want to just do it by applying pressure in the right spot. So let's see if we can do it. There we go. There it goes. So it pulled it all forward like so, and now you're getting much closer to Batroid. Okay, now we have to get a couple of locks in play, and to do that we're going to have to get a few things straightened out. We're going to get our wings back a little bit further, and we want to get this lock right here, where my finger's touching, to hook to the back of what was the cockpit area. There's been a lot of stuff locking in there. We also, let's see, as we do this, you're going to be able to get this lock up here into this portion right here. So there's going to be two locks that we do to get the entire back to stay connected. So let's make sure we don't push in that lock. Let's make sure it's out all the way. bring it back, get it up and under, and then we are going to now bring things forward and push down on this lock here, and that will lock your back into position. Okay, we're going to go ahead and put the wings where we want them to be now. We're just going to bring them up, click them into place. We can bring them back and get them into their proper position. Turning the toy around, we can just bring the arms forward and rotate them down. Very stiff. Oh, make sure your shoulder isn't out of whack. And there you go. Now your arms are in place and your wings are in place. All right, now we want to bring the chest together to make sure you got your locks all into place, because if they're not, then this is going to not work out for you because everything has to line up perfectly. You're going to fish out this piece here. It's got a little peg on the bottom of it that will go into that slot right there. So just extend it down until it does. Make sure it gets into position properly because you definitely need that. And then these just close. But there's little slots underneath and they need to tab into those just perfectly. And you're going to need to do a little fiddling to get them actually to lock securely. But trust me, they will. And when they do, they will stay in position fairly well. You might get into a situation where one does and then it knocks the other one out. But there you go. All right, now we're going to go ahead and get the head out. Pull the lasers free. A little pressure away. They're on a ball joint. They may pop off. If they do, not the end of the world. Just push them back on. Maybe wait until you get to where you're going to push them back on. But you do want to just pivot them. Bring the head down. And then what we want to do is come back, down, and away until they're back to the very back. And again, they might stop on you. Ball joint, put it right back on. Do the same thing on the other side. All right, you're more or less there. If you got your legs extended, you're going to want to collapse them. And you also have a knee extension gimmick, a kneecap extension gimmick. You can just go ahead and pull that out. I don't know if it does much for you. And then, of course, you're going to want to make sure the wings are wherever you want them to be since they don't really peg into place. And there you go. You are now in Batroid mode. You can go ahead and throw the gun on. Since it obviously doesn't go on the back anymore, I would recommend grabbing one of the fixed posed hands since they do a much better job holding on. Just pop that off. Pop this in. Get the feet where you want them to be. And Batroid. Some last minute fine tuning to do. Your crotch probably should be jutted forward. If you've got this little bay door in the back down, you should push that up. If your shields come askew, you should bring that together. If these gearwalk joints are in weird positions, you want to get those just right. And when you do, the toy should look fantastic. Check out my full review on anymoon.com. And as always, thanks for watching.